Welcome to another discussion. This is Dr. Tangella Siva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab and hello. We have been watching Corona pandemic in India across the globe. Situation is no different in India in spite of continued lockdowns. Of late, we have seen cases reaching 3,800 or to close to 4,000, and equally mortality rate also we have seen it raising, and there are some recoveries also. It's good aspect which we have to, but there is an utter confusion and chaos because we see daily briefs of in Delhi of Ministry of Health as well as Ministry of Home Affairs and under ICMR. They are trying to impose Hindi on the entire Indian nation. They are trying to improve their Hindi in their daily briefs, and people are confused as they are not understanding it. In doing so, they are meticulously trying to cover as to what the stage is this day, what stage of Corona spread is. People are not aware. Why the lockdown? First of all, why Janata curfew? Then after first lockdown, second lockdown, third lockdown. Why did Union government go for lockdown? Is there any reason? Are these reasons there in the public domain for people to understand? Because when you say people are at risk, it is the health of people which is at risk. Is it not the duty of union government as well as state governments? Because in Telangana we find a peculiar situation. When the second lockdown extension was till May 3rd, we have it till May 7th. And subsequently when it was the third lockdown was till May 17th, we are going beyond May 27th. So equally states are responsible. They have to make people to understand as to why they are going for extension of lockdown. When you say everything is under control, then where is the need? Definitely people should follow all the protocols of Corona that we have been reiterating quite regularly, right from physical distance to cough etiquettes to when you greet people also how you should be doing. So all these things are very much there in the public domain, and we have been doing that regularly. Are people misinformed, not misinformed? Are people being psyched into this dictatorial attitude of both central and state governments? Is this going to pay way for a dictatorial attitude of these governments in place of democracy? Is it a health issue or a law and order issue or an imposition from both center, union and state governments? So this is the discussion for today. We have eminent guest in Mr. Sagar Dhara, who is a risk analyst. He has been consultant to United Nations as well as one who authors judgments on environment also. Welcome to the discussion, sir.
Thank you.
So how do you look at this new scenario, developing scenario? Even till this day, no one is understanding what is happening.
Yeah, let me start with, first of all, the caseload that we have.
Yeah.
So the first thing that is obvious to any person watching what is happening is that the number of cases that we get every day has suddenly shot up in the last 3 days. And yesterday it was a little short of about 4,000. Prior to that it was in the 2,500 to 3,000 range. And if you look at the graph, which you can see in the slide, basically you see an upward curve. Okay, and we've locked down for more than 40 days now. Okay. Now let's compare India with other countries which also had lockdown, and some countries have lifted the lockdown partially. What has happened there? So if you look at some of the countries like Italy, Spain, United Kingdom, Germany, all these countries, as you can see in the slides, the caseload has come down. The daily caseload has come down. Okay? The graphs are there for you to see. Okay. Why is it that the number of cases in India is actually growing instead of coming down, even though the lockdown period, in fact, is roughly the same as compared to the countries which have, where the caseload has come down and which have partially lifted, in fact, their lockdowns. So there seem to be two reasons for this. One is that we started at a very low testing level, and we were there until maybe a week or 10 days back, or at most about 2 weeks back. Okay, so obviously if we are testing more, we are going to find more cases.
Right.
What does it basically mean? It basically means that we've gone into community transmission. There is no longer local transmission. Okay. Now this is a point that government is, for whatever their reasons be, is reluctant to admit. Now we don't even hear about, many questions were asked about 2-3 weeks back, whether it has gone into community transmission or not. And somewhere I think the press has got tired of asking this question. And the people in the Ministry of Health and Home Ministry have even stopped answering this question, or have stopped referring to this.
They are practicing Hindi in the Indian populace now. They are trying to practice their accent in Hindi.
Well, I completely agree with you. Now, I have lived in Delhi many years as a small aside, but after coming to Hyderabad and settling in Hyderabad, if people call me from Delhi or wherever in North India and they speak in Hindi without bothering to ask me, and I can speak Hindi as fluently as anybody in North India.
Respect. Respect.
If they pick up the phone and talk to me in Hindi without asking me whether I understand Hindi first, then I reply in Telugu.
That's right.
And they get flustered and put the phone down. If they first ask me, do you understand Hindi? I very gladly respond to them in Hindi.
Because see, we have been watching, first they were in English, it was okay, good. Now of late, they are just trying to impose everything on people of India through that Hindi medium.
Absolutely.
Many will not understand.
They don't understand.
And that means they don't want people to understand the prevalent situation. Is that so?
See, they don't. The very country that they seem to look up to, the United States, which has such diversity, in fact, and which has flourished because of its diversity, we have an enormous diversity in this country. We should celebrate that diversity, diversity of language, diversity of culture, diversity of...
That too in this critical health emergency.
Absolutely. It's something that enriches us. Anyway, that's a small aside. I completely agree with you that this...
people should understand. For that reason, I'm bringing out this barrier.
No, I completely am with you that it's only after coming to Hyderabad have I taken objection to people not asking me whether I know Hindi and automatically believe that I can understand Hindi and speak to me in Hindi. I refuse to speak in Hindi. I will respond in Telugu. You want to talk to me, please ask me if I understand your language. And I do that when I go. If I were to go to Delhi and start talking in Telugu and say, why the hell don't you understand Telugu?
What is Mr. Love Agarwal and all that really brief are listening. At least now you have to change your attitude so that your briefs should make people to understand, and because people are the ones who are at risk and they should live with this corona.
Love Agarwal जी, एक किताब मैंने पढ़ा कई साल पहले कि उस किताब में ऐसा लिखा हुआ था कि चीन जो है वो यूएस पर अपना हुक्म चलाया. अब आप समझ लीजिए अगर चीन या हम आके दिल्ली पे हुक्म चलाते हैं आप पे और ये कहते हैं कि आप तेलुगु में ही बोलो, तो फिर आप क्या कहेंगे? तो प्लीज थोड़ा सा आप कदर करो कि अलग अलग भाषाएं हम लोग सब बोलते हैं.
It's a rich integration. We have a wonderful integration of people.
इतना बढ़िया सा लिटरेचर है हमारे पास अलग अलग भाषाओं में, तो इसका कदर करिए प्लीज. मैं विनंती करता हूं आपसे.
Hope you will listen.
Well,
coming back to the subject.
Coming back to the subject. So the point is this, that the second thing is that basically we have to try and understand how this transmission is happening. Why are the cases going up? And what basically whatever information we get from China and from other countries like Germany seems to indicate that understanding transmission dynamics, how does the coronavirus actually move? Is the infection traveling through surface contact? Is it traveling if you go to, is the transmission happening in supermarkets, in malls, or is it happening within the family? Now, if the case load is increasing right now, in spite of such a severe, and we are the severest lockdown
All
in
closed,
the world.
right from cinema halls to educational
Everything.
institutions.
I mean,
Except groceries, I think medical shops. nothing
there is a website which
Except
actually
now
has
offer
scored,
that.
whether you agree with the website or not.
Right.
That website basically says that we score something like 97.5 on the severity scale
Of lockdowns.
whereas many of the other countries like Italy and so on are far below us in terms of the
60s and
severity.
Yeah, I know.
Now, why is it that, after 40 plus days, the caseload is still going up, is the question. And the finger seems to point to that basically it is probably transmitting through families. Now, if you look at that particular case in Hyderabad,
Right.
where 13 people in one family, in 3 different locations,
But affected.
were affected, it seems that there is a family transmission going on. So then your entire strategy is not lockdown, it's something else.
Yeah.
Because in spite of lockdown, if transmission is happening, then your lockdown is not working as well as it should.
I know.
So understanding transmission dynamics becomes extremely important to figure out what your strategy should be. And on that there is no discussion in this country so far.
No one is bothered to. They don't even answer you.
They don't even ask the question
Right.
in the first place. So my hunch is that the 2 reasons why our caseload is going up is, one is because we've increased our testing, the second is because the transmission is probably happening a lot more within
Amongst
the
the
family.
families. Okay.
Then, if you go out to supermarkets and things like that, and the research in Germany particularly is telling us that actually the transmission in supermarkets and such places is relatively not that high. Okay, in which case, why are we taxing the poor people in this country and not allowing them to work? They live in a hand-to-mouth economy.
I know.
It's a double burden.
I know.
Okay, so this is one entire aspect of the whole thing. The second thing is there is a very subterranean thing happening right now, and I am very troubled by it. I'm troubled by the fact that, for example, we have the center telling us what to do without explaining
Imposing.
what is the logic
Yeah.
of why they have taken certain decisions. Now, as a citizen of this country, I will cooperate with my government very happily if the government tries to explain to me as to why it is doing certain things and what it plans to do in future. Now, instead, what we are told is, do this, do that, or, do a little bit of tali bajawing, or light a diya, and so on. Why? I mean, is the coronavirus going to go away by these things? So, an explanation from my government as to why I am being told certain things is, I think, my right.
Of course.
Because I am the risk bearer. If I am the risk bearer out here, I am 65 plus.
Right.
I need to understand what is the risk, and the best chance of beating the coronavirus is if the people and the government work together,
I know.
not against each other, not if they work against each other.
I know.
And the best way to make people work with the government in the same direction is for the government to explain the rationale of its actions, which it has not done so far. Neither the state government nor the central government. I mean, if you take Telangana state as to why it extended it from May 3rd to May 7th or from May 17th to May 27th, beats me. I don't know why they've done it.
Right.
And they don't care to explain. Are they really my government?
Right.
So, what this tells me is that there is an element of authoritarianism
I know.
creeping in. And it's not just this. The second factor is the Aarogya Setu.
Yeah.
Now, here is a contact tracing app, which basically, you can use it only on smartphones. You download it, and you have to keep your, Bluetooth on.
Yeah.
And apparently, it's supposed to be voluntary, but now the press tells us that anybody who goes to work in certain categories or who travels in certain, categories of people who travel have to have this. What does it mean? That even though it's voluntary, if I travel, for example, tomorrow in a bus, I will not be allowed to enter the bus because I don't have the app on? Now, question. According to which act have I to do this? Is there an act? Okay. Second question. What are you going to do with this data? Is there an exit policy for the data?
It's personal. Many personal things are there embedded in that.
Absolutely.
Right.
When COVID-19 finally, ends,
right,
what are you going to do with the data? Are you going to destroy it?
Right.
Is there a rule? Who is going to do the oversight on all this?
Right.
So I have grave doubts when any government keeps this kind of private information on me.
Right.
And says, oh, this information probably will be there forever. What are the guarantees that you are giving public in India that this information will not be misused by you?
Yeah.
Again, element of authoritarianism is creeping in.
Right.
Third thing, you have a central government which has the funds,
right,
and which says do this, that and the other to the state governments, and the state governments really don't have the money to implement. It's the state governments which have to implement because they are the people, they are the governments who are closest to the state. Can the central government go and actually do a distribution of grains? Right. It cannot. It has to do it through state governments.
Right.
The state governments are helpless because until they get the money or the grain from the central government, they can't do the distribution or whatever else they have to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So this entire centralization is again a third element in the whole authoritarian sort of regime we are seeing building up.
Right.
And I don't think in a federal state like the Indian Union that this is taking us in the right direction at all.
Right.
And this entire COVID-19 seems to be taking us into a direction where somebody is going to tell us, public as well as state governments, as to what to do, and we are supposed to follow the whole thing without understanding the logic for it, without having been told the logic for why this is being done. I don't think we are going to be a very happy country becoming an undemocratic authoritarian state of this sort.
That is really something which people have to, because live with that. We thought we will live with Corona so that we can make a healthy beginning and see to that we can fight viruses. But I think this authoritarian attitude is becoming much more prominent and bigger than Corona.
I hope that this is reversed. I hope it is reversed.
Yeah.
We are seeing only the first indications of all this. Right. I hope this stops right now.
Right.
But I'm saying that for whatever I see, that I am going to say it like I see it.
Right.
That I hope government assures us that all these authoritarian tendencies in fact will be reversed and shows it in action.
Right. So that becomes easy for us to fight Corona in a happy frame of mind.
I would be glad to help my own government.
Right. Wonderful. So this is the topic for today. As you rightly stated, are we overcoming Corona, or are we being put under Corona scare, psych us into Corona submission by this authoritarian attitude? Because in democracy, it is people who are the decision makers, and decisions should be in favor of people, and decisions should be made, or they should be people inclusive, or in a simplest way, people should understand. And when people are at risk, if there is no information or misinformation or prejudiced information, or they are being psyched into submission, then what can this be called as? Is this the way government, whether it is union or state governments, to fight against Corona? So at least now you have to answer the people. Kindly come out, whether union or state governments. What is the interactions you had through your video calling? Why was Janata Curfew called on March 22nd, followed by the first lockdown, then the second lockdown? First lockdown was 21 days, second lockdown was 19 days, and the third 14 days, but Telangana it is a bit more. Why this extension of lockdown? What is happening in India? What is happening in every state? Why don't we have a proper communication? Because tomorrow, if the lockdown goes, there will be interstate transport happening. People will move in large numbers. If the states are not opening up with people as to what measures they have taken and what people should do in future, if there is this gap going on between state and state, then it will lead to anarchy. People will start suspecting their own citizens, their own friends, their own relatives, their own family members tomorrow. This is what has been happening in Corona, as we see village after village. The way they are locking them down, it's just nothing but mockery of democracy. Mockery because you are not providing correct information to people. You are submitting them into, you are forcing them into submission. You are psyching them. That is why people are scared, and at times people are also psyched into submission, wherein the information at large is only with union government or state government or through administrators. They are trying to rule the roost, causing much harm to the prevalence of democracy and to arrest the spread of Corona and to eradicate Corona, because people are at risk, people's health at risk, and because we do not have a proper public health care system like the developed countries, even in spite of they are suffering, in spite of all these lacunae, still union and state governments are not coming forth with proper information to the people directly through daily briefs, which only impose Hindi or in the public domain. At least now we hope union and state governments will move away from this authoritarian attitude, lest people have to fight back as they have been doing against Corona. See you with another discussion. Wash your hands with soap for at least 20 to 25 seconds or hand sanitizer. Use elbow for cough or sneeze, we call it cough etiquettes. Maintain physical distance. Kindly understand it is physical, so that socially you can be very happy. Maintain that physical distance. Whenever you meet, if you want to greet, say namaste, adab or hello. See you soon. Stay safe. Stay at home. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR saying bye to you.